listening to the Street Cat Sisters, a weekly entertainment podcast.
And on today's episode, Boo,
What are we doing today?
that's what I was literally just asking you.
Oh, I don't know. Do
That
you
was-
know? Yeah, she does know.
We just talked about it. I know.
We are talking about dirt roads.
Growing up on.
Oh, is that what we're talking about? Ooh, okay. Growing up on dirt roads.
And under big city lights.
Not at the same time, of course.
No, but I think it's cool that we got both perspectives.
Yes, very much so, both perspectives. We needed that character development.
So the cool thing is, I think, is we got to grow up with both perspectives. We, as young kids, growing up in Western Arkansas on dirt roads, and then when we moved to Tennessee, and Mom's job changed, and then we lived the high life. And when I say we had literally nothing in Arkansas, because when we moved there, it wasn't just a couple of months, and we lost everything in a house fire.
Yeah, and character development 101. Experience a house fire.
Do you remember the house fire?
I do. I remember.
But I was 6 when the house burnt down, so you were 5. Do you remember much from it?
Yeah, I remember a lot from it, but it's just 5-year-old mindset from that. I didn't think it was as bad as it was, I think. But looking back at it now, it was fucked up. So, but yeah, I remember a lot from the house fire and how scary it was. I remember Dad having to go to Little Rock for the burn treatment that he ended up getting. And I remember living with one of our uncles.
We had a lot of fun growing up in Arkansas. We built, I don't know if you remember all the clubhouses we built growing up.
Do you remember the mud pies?
Those were mud volcanoes.
The mud pies are a delicacy, thank you, into our childhood.
Okay. Do you remember how we learned how to ride a bike?
Was it the same way how we learned how to swim?
Kind of.
Dad just thrown us off in the deep end?
No, kind of. You remember there was this little hill in the front yard, and it went down into the house, right to the house, which was brick. So we learned how to ride a bike going down this little hill, and if you didn't learn how to steer or stop, you were running into a brick wall.
Is that what
explains a lot?
It
Yeah,
explains a lot for me. I don't know how to stop.
Some of us just learn to steer and brake sooner than others.
I just don't know how to stop.
That's a fair point.
I don't know. I can't stop, won't stop.
Some of those clubhouses should have definitely been condemned. I cannot believe our parents let us play in those for hours. I mean, we would build things out of, I don't remember. Do you remember, like, out of pallets? We would build clubhouses out of pallets.
Yeah, the pallets. I don't even understand how we got a hold of so many pallets, but they were ours to build with, and we used them.
I'm surprised we didn't end up with tetanus or...
Maybe we do have tetanus problems, or... Yeah, we just have rabies.
It's just the rabies.
It's just the rabies. It's about how many animals you brought home? Yeah, it's all the rabies.
You started playing football in Arkansas.
I so did.
What made you want to play football?
Honestly, it gave me I was able to hit my brother without getting in trouble. That's all I saw it as, is I could hit my brother without getting in trouble.
That is clever. I'm actually very proud of you. That's really intelligent thinking.
But I tried. He always laid my ass out, but I tried. But yeah, it was a keen interest, just wanting to hit my brother, but he always ended up like laying my ass out. But at the same time, I found it to be a game to where a lot of the boys that played with us, especially our brother, found it as a job. But I found it to be fun.
Do you remember getting interviewed by the reporter at?
Going into practice one day, I was stopped by a reporter, and they interviewed everyone but you. Do you remember that?
Of course, I remember that. I have a lot of You know what? We're not getting into it.
Okay, but yeah,
they did. They interviewed you. They interviewed our brother, our mom, and dad, and I was not even.
I honestly didn't want to be interviewed. I just found it to be a waste of time. I didn't really care. That
They thought you were inspirational by being a female playing football.
I just wanted to get to practice, and I remember telling the guy that I was like that he was making me late to practice.
Priorities.
And that I was going to get in trouble. I didn't want to be in trouble, though. I don't mind getting in trouble. So yeah, he motherfucker made me late.
I'm sure you were forgiven for your interview, Miss Celebrity.
Stop. But yeah, it was like that was a major point of my childhood of like. I'm happy that like came with us. My love for football came with us from Arkansas.
You know what I'm glad didn't come with us?
What?
The school field trips from Arkansas to Tennessee.
How do you take children who were elementary school age? How do you take children to Gallows?
That's what they would do. Yeah, because Fort Smith was famous for the gallows, for the Judge Parker from the Wild Wild West, hanging Judge Parker, and so every school year we would go to the gallows, and they would tell us the same stories. It's not like anybody's been hung in there since
the 1800s or anything, or the early.
It's not like the stories were being added to or changing.
Yeah, I mean they would find more information about it and tell us, but it's like, okay, bad people were hung here. Okay.
Good. All right, children, lunchtime. So, I don't know if you remember your first field trip when we moved to Tennessee.
I do.
Okay, well, I'll tell you mine first. So, going through the gallows every year, I think there was one year they took us to somebody's house who had a bunch of animals that we could pet, and they called it a petting zoo. That's it. That's all I remember.
That's suspicious.
It was so suspicious.
That's suspicious. How is that guy doing now?
I have no idea. Anyway, when we moved here, my first field trip was they rented a charter bus, which I had never seen before in my life, and took 5th grade kids down to Chattanooga to the aquarium, which I'd also never been to, and an IMAX theater. So
I didn't even know you could keep fish and sharks as pets until we went. That's literally what I thought you were going to, was a petting zoo for fish. And because I didn't know what an aquarium was.
That's the Arkansas education system for you.
I thought you were just going to a aquarium, like a aquatic petting zoo. It's like, I remember thinking when you and Dad went, well, I hope she doesn't get bit by a shark.
That's really sweet of you. What blew my mind more was the IMAX theater, having it in 3D. And I remember it was about dinosaurs, but growing up, we couldn't even see a 2D movie, let alone an IMAX, where it was amazing. It blew my mind. I had a headache the entire way home, but it was totally worth it. And it was just insanity to me.
Yeah, from going to the gallows to going to the state's biggest aquarium, the state's biggest aquatic
petting zoo where you can pet. No, they're gonna send us a cease. Please don't tell people that you can pet the shark. You can't.
I mean, if
you're brave enough, any zoo could be a petting zoo. So. Please don't. That is bad advice.
Well, and tell that to my 4 fingers on my right hand.
No, boo boo, no.
Boo, no.
Boo boo, no.
No. But segue to my first field trip was to Dollywood. Do you remember going to Dollywood for the first time?
My feet were waterlogged and they hurt, and I loved every minute of it.
I remember just them taking all of the sixth graders to Dollywood, and it's like I didn't know what I was expecting. I just thought it was like, looking back at it, being the big Dolly Parton fan I am now. You know, I thought Dollywood was just like a state fair, to be honest, because Dolly's from this area, and it's like, cool. She's sponsoring a state fair. We didn't have theme parks where we grew up, so it was, I didn't know what I was really expecting with that. But to go to Dollywood as a 10-year-old, holy, ooh, was, looking back, going to the gallows. Dollywood was a nice change. No one died.
Right?
To make that the theme park. No one died.
You know what else I'm glad we didn't bring with us from Arkansas to Tennessee?
What?
The weather.
I mean, it's a dry heat out there versus the humidity out here.
No. Like, East Tennessee weather, when we moved here, was, if you didn't like it, wait 15 minutes, it will change. And it does. We're just...
it wasn't even projected for it to rain yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's always wrong.
Yeah. I wish I could do like that.
But being in Arkansas, those storms, that was when I saw my first wall cloud. That cloud was... That cloud was forest green, and I will swear it till the day I die.
Oh, we were plagued with tornadoes in that area.
Yeah, we're good old Tornado Alley.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's also a character development to see your first tornado live in person. I don't know if you ever remember seeing one. I remember seeing one.
I remember when the one hit Fort Smith when we lived there.
Which
it was 98? 96.
It was 96 when it hit. It actually also jumped the river right there in Fort Smith. It jumped it and hit Van Buren as well. I remember going and seeing the damage with Mom and Dad.
I remember that day so clearly because it was a beautiful sunny day. Beautiful. And we were all walking by the pond at the apartment complex. And it was like the snap of a fingers. It had started hailing from like nowhere. And we all just started sprinting. And then the tornado sirens went off. And then we hid in the closet. Like, that's all.
That's the time I went into the closet. It took me 20 years to come back out of it.
No, boo-boo, no, not again.
Not again. But, yeah, I think we were living in Van Buren when we were living in an apartment with one of them. But it was, tornadoes were a common thing out there.
Bad storms, period. And then we get here, and you rarely get a bad storm. We've been getting them lately, but we didn't used to get bad storms at all.
Yeah, I mean, out there, the hail would be, like, it's a mainstay out there. Here, if we got hail, it's super bad. Because we don't get that kind of stuff out here. It hits our mountains and just dissipates.
So I'm really glad, that we left that over there.
Well, I don't know if you've kept up with it. We are now in Dixie Alley.
What is Dixie Alley?
Just like Tornado Alley, but
no, it followed us.
Like Tornado Alley since the '95 has moved a little closer.
Is this a conspiracy theory?
No, it's the Weather Channel.
Okay,
watch it.
Okay,
but yeah, the Tornado Alley has moved closer to Memphis because Memphis does get the tornadoes now, and Mississippi. They're more into Tornado Alley now than what they were in the 90s. I'll show you.
It's followed us. It just took 20 years. Do you remember in Arkansas, there was like that school bus that would come around and pick up kids for Super Church?
Super Church.
I don't remember much. It feels like a cult now when I think about it. Oh, do you remember that one time that school bus came by and picked us up, and they were these like teenagers or young adults on the bus swallowing live goldfish? Do you remember that?
Same bus, the same thing.
Was that really?
Yeah, it was Super Church.
Oh my goodness.
It was honestly the same thing. But yeah, Super Church. I only went for the candy because they promised us candy, and that's why I went. To be honest with you,
I believe you.
and like it can't be that bad. They have candy. Bad people don't have candy.
But they were also swallowing live fish. I do want to mention that.
But they had candy.
They want to say, like, people are bad for eating Tide Pods. I saw those teenagers. I saw them.
Yeah, we see you.
I remember. You scarred me for life.
Yeah. But it was all well because I got my candy.
Not for those goldfish.
No.
I think what I loved most about moving to Tennessee, though, was Nashville.
Like, you've always had a soft spot for Nashville since your first time that we went there. I think it's like how I feel about Gatlinburg, I think. But we always went to Nashville.
I think I was just mesmerized by the big city lights and the music.
Because we really didn't have that growing up.
No.
And
I love music.
Yeah, it's always been a puzzle piece to who you are, of getting out there and just listening to everything. It was pretty cool actually growing up, down on Broadway and hearing all the future stars of the music airways.
We weren't even. What's really funny is, I don't know if you remember this, but in Arkansas, we didn't listen to country music. We listened to more pop music. And then when we moved here, I started visiting Nashville on the regular. We became country music fans.
Oh, because we were always surrounded by like the cowboy boots and the cowboy hats and that type of music. And I think that's really what stemmed from us venturing out to listen to more types of music.
And getting to see NSYNC in concert.
Oh, that was wicked. Going to Nissan Stadium.
And seeing them in concert, our first concert.
Yeah, I don't know who had more fun, you and I or our dad.
That was absolutely core memory.
Core memory.
It's a core memory.
Watching our dad try to sing to Cisco. Shout out to both of y'all. You know what really upsets me the most about that concert, though? They had a rising star, open up for them.
I remember.
That night.
Yep.
And she used her real name and not her stage name. Her real name's Alicia Moore, and that's what she came out and said, "Hey, I'm Alicia Moore." Looking back at it, it really messed me up because I'm a huge fan of Pink now. I always have, but it's like, oh my god, we've seen Pink in concert, but
pre-Pink.
Well, if you remember, a month later after our concert is when Lady Marmalade came out on the radio and stuff like that. And that really got, I feel like, her into everyday in the household name is that song. And we seen her a month before, and it's like, I would have paid attention more if I knew that was Pink.
But it's also, I was in the 5th grade. It's not like we knew who that was, or who she was going to be.
No, but I do appreciate, our father doing that for us. We didn't even buy tickets until the day of. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do.
But we were going to see some friends there in downtown, and I don't know if you remember seeing the girls with posters, and we were like, "Oh my god, are they in town tonight?" And ended up buying tickets from a scalper that night,
just so we could see them because they didn't know and they wanted us to go. We also, I loved all the trips. We did. That's something when Mom started making a lot of money. That's something they did instead of buying a house or something like that. They just took us on so many trips, and we got to experience Washington, D.C. the summer of 2001. We got to visit Charleston. We got to.
I don't know if you remember much from the Charleston trip,
I do. I do. I was hoping though we have to come back and talk a little bit more about Charleston during our October episodes. Spooky
Yeah.
month.
Oh yeah. But I remember going down to Charleston, not because we planned on it. That was actually one of the random trips because we actually spent the day in Sevierville, July 3rd, and we ended up trying to find a hotel. We ended up in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which, if you know anything about geography, only a couple hours from Charleston. You know,
All of our trips were never planned. They were always spontaneous. So the
well,
trip to DC, we were just supposed to go up somewhere for July 4th, and we ended up spending a week in DC. We were supposed to go to somewhere else for again July 4th. We ended up in Charleston. Like they were just so spontaneous. We never knew where we were going to go, and we loved that. It was an amazing way to grow up.
oh yeah, it was a very lucky way to grow up too. I mean, as fast as we got it, it was taken away from us.
Yes, it was. I mean, businesses fail, as they do, and it happens. And
Yeah.
then we just go back to the way we were, like back to regularly scheduled programs.
Of being dirt poor on a dirt road. No, we didn't go back to Arkansas. We stayed here, and we made our roots, dug them deep, deeper than what a lot of people wanted us to, but we still stayed. And
We've both got to move out of other places and move to other states, and then we always come back. East
Yeah.
Tennessee is just where we made our home.
I think once we moved out here, we ended up getting our feet planted and into our own selves here.
Well, yeah, we were so young. I mean, yeah, we did some formative '90s growing up in Arkansas, and then the 2000s in Tennessee. It just seems like a new era, and this is where we
New millennium, new home.
new millennia. Who this? Like
'Cause we were in Arkansas when Y2K hit, and
Y2K didn't hit. That was the point. It
Yeah.
didn't matter.
When the turn of the century, we said, "Yep, we're going, we're out." Deuces.
So we get to go into the next episode, Boo, talking about high school and our college years and young adult years. Now that we've gotten
And then once we
what else? What else
No,
would
but-
you say growing up is but a learning experience, you dodo brain?
No, like Arkansas was okay. This is how you do things. Tennessee's where we really applied it, so it was really cool. Okay, this is how you do it, and then in the middle of doing it, we got put to the test by moving to Tennessee, and it's like I wouldn't say that we really came to life in Tennessee, but we came into our own in Tennessee.
I remember when we first moved here, people in school would talk to me and then tell me that they only wanted to talk to me so they could hear my accent.
Did you know that there's a difference in accents between Tennessee and Arkansas?
I didn't know then, but I do now.
Yeah, I think we sounded more like Boomhauer.
I don't know who. I'm sure. Please, Street Cat Gang, tell us what our accent is because I can't place it.
We're mutts. That's what they're going to
We
tell
don't
us.
know.
We're not Yanks.
What if nobody has been able to understand a word that we've said because of our accents? No.
That's myself.
When we do April Fools, we do an entire episode where we just speak in gibberish to each other.
But yeah, it was. We didn't think we had an accent until we moved here, and we can't travel out of state without getting it pointed out too. I went to New York a couple years ago, and they're like, "Oh no, you sound." But like the most common thing that I've been told, I don't know if you've ever been told it before, like your travels. But I get told all the time that I sound like Dolly.
What a compliment.
It is a compliment. What people don't know is Dolly's my mom.
No, she's not. She's not. Our godmom.
The Dolly Parton is the East Tennessee godmom,
I agree.
and Elvis is our daddy. Our daddy's a moon pie.
Our daddy is a moon pie.
Our dad's a moon pie and our mom's Dolly Parton.
All right, Street Cat Gang. So that's your test. Tell us what our accent's from, or what is it?
I mean, you know our childhood. We come from Arkansas. And then
Why did you say it like that?
Arkansas.
I think your mouth twitched.
A little bit. Because honestly, it's illegal in the state of Arkansas to call it Arkansas.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. It's like you can't take your giraffe into town in New York and tie it up to a post. It's like one of those kind of laws, you know. You can't mispronounce the state of Arkansas in the state of Arkansas without getting in trouble. Which I do it all the time.
You are rambling. You are just purely rambling.
But so y'all know our part of our accent came from the childhood of Arkansas, and then for the last 23 years we've been in the state of Tennessee. So if you could tell us, is it a Tennessee accent? Is it still an Arkansas accent? Is it a mix of the two? We would love to know. I think it's going to freak you out more if we get the name for it, because you're Miss Proper over here. I don't care. I don't mind sounding like Boomhauer.
I've tried very hard to lose my accent, but then being a mom, it just comes out so much stronger.
And once you hit that certain age, you become proud of where you grew up and where you come from. So, if anyone wants to tell us, please tell us. Next episode, guys, we're going to come into our own person even more. Separated the connection between of who Jess and I am. Because growing up,
we grew up identically. And then once we become teenagers, you become your own person.
Which I don't know if you realize this, but Mom, being the identical twin, her sister and her were the only two women, other than, Mom, Grandma, being in the family. So our mother actually raised Jess and I as twins. Even though we were the year apart, we did grow up as twins.
So we grew up identically, and I think the next episode we really get to see how our personalities evolve into their own.
Yeah. And become different, yet we're two sides of a whole idiot, and it really it will really show of how different we become in high school and in college. So that will come up next episode. All right. Well, until next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for coming.
Hope to see y'all again soon.
You come back now, you hear?
Please no. Don't do that.
You come back now, you hear?
It's y'all come back now, you hear?
Y'all come back now, you hear?
You make it sound like a threat. You come back now. You come back here now.
You come back now, you hear?
Oh, I can't.
You come
threaten
back.
them. Don't threaten our Street Cat Gang. We love you, Street Cat Gang.
You come back now, you hear? We'll feed you.
No. We're not.
We're not going to feed them?
I'm not even feeding you.
No. Funny story, she will.
As always, I'm Jess.
And I'm Boo.
And we are the Street Cat Sisters.